Record ಮಾಡಿದಲ್ಲ.
Okay, we'll start the class.
Yes, sir.
So today the discussion is on respiratory system MCQs. The focus is on pneumonias. Okay. The first question which I'll be discussing is most common pattern of pneumonia seen in Klebsiella infection. So what is Klebsiella? It is a gram positive, gram negative.
Gram negative, sir.
Cocci, bacilli. Prabhakar.
Sir, gram negative bacilli.
Okay, good. Gram negative bacilli. So it is a gram negative bacilli. So what is the type of pneumonia you get with this bacteria? It is a lobar pneumonia, bronchopneumonia. Huh?
Lobar.
Lobar. Okay, which lobe is commonly involved?
Upper lobe, sir.
Yeah.
Lower lobe and upper lobe, sorry.
Upper
Upper
lobe.
lobe.
This Klebsiella pneumonia, na, lobar type, and it is upper lobe. You remember this? Huh? Okay. That is a favorite question. That's why. Huh? It causes some fluffy exudate. What?
It causes cavitation, sir.
Okay, it can cause, but the cavitation is care of some other thing else. This can also cause. Even streptococcus pneumonia also cause. But the cavity means you should tell something different to this one. This can also cause cavity. I don't know. But that is not the first answer for cavitation. Okay, lobar pneumonia is with the Klebsiella pneumonia. What is this? So the pneumonia. See, there are 3 types are given here: lobar, broncho, and interstitial here. There are 3 types. What is the meaning of lobar pneumonia? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of lobar pneumonia? Huh? See, the lungs has got
one lobe of lung is affected.
Constitution and one pneumonia is, sir, whole of the lobe constitution, sir.
At least one lobe. Huh? More than one lobe can be involved. Huh? But at least one lobe. Okay. The pneumonia is limited to the lobe. Huh? The lobe. So the lobes also have got segments. Okay. That is see, there are segments now. Got it? There are segments, but here the spread is to the whole lobe, not segmental wise. Okay, it's not segmental wise. It is the whole lobe. That is something which is confusing for you people. That's why I want to tell the specific. The term damage is the terminal airspace. So lobar pneumonia means it's what happens is this alveoli, na? These are alveoli. These gets filled with exudates. Okay, the exudates are in the alveoli, whereas these bronchioles and bronchi are, they have air. So this is limited to this much alveoli and all that, but bronchus and all that, bronchioles, they are filled with air. They are not filled with fluid. That's the one thing. And the spread doesn't occur through the lobes like this. Spread doesn't occur through the bronchus like this. It doesn't. In fact, it occurs like this. See, suppose there is a one and there is a one more here. It doesn't go like this. The spread is like this. Through these pores and all that, pores of corn and all that. Okay, so that's the reason there is a air bronchogram here. There is a air in the what? Bronchi. Bronchioles, whatever. Yeah, bronchioles. Bronchioles, but without cartilage. Okay, so these bronchioles, they have air inside. So the lobar pneumonia have air bronchogram. Air bronchograms. That's why. You got my point?
Yes.
The pneumonia is it has got air bronchograms here. Put here air bronchogram. Whereas the bronchopneumonia, so the bronchioles are the primary pathology here. Here the primary pathology is alveoli. These are bronchioles are the primary pathology. and the spread occurs from intralobular airways. Intralobular airways spread occurs. And confined to secondary. See, it is there are this one intrabronchial bronchi is there. This can be confined to this, and it spread occurs. One more bronchiole here can get infected like this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's the reason. So, and here as the bronchioles are involved, the air bronchogram, bronchioles, air bronchogram is not seen. You don't get air bronchogram in bronchopneumonia, whereas here you get air bronchogram. Okay. You get air bronchogram. Somebody has joined. Hold on. Okay. You are able to see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this air bronchogram is seen with lobar pneumonia, and bronchopneumonia air bronchograms are not seen. And interstitial pneumonia. Interstitial pneumonia means here the mucosal wall here, this broncho, these walls here, they become edematous. These walls. Bronchopneumonia, here is a problem inside, whereas lobar pneumonia, alveoli, bronchonemia inside these bronchioles, and interstitial pneumonia, where? Here. The problem is here. Interstitium.
Yes, sir.
So this is interstitial pneumonia. This is bronchopneumonia. This is alveolar pneumonia. That is lobar pneumonia. Got it? So damage is to the and destroys the mucosal cells. The airway becomes edematous here. And as I said, the interstitial lung disease linear. These are thin, linear shadows, reticular pattern, all these things. Interstitial lung disease, the manifestation seen here. And the organisms are here. The classical C. The classical one is what is prototype of lobar pneumonia is pneumococcal, and second one is Klebsiella. And the spread is homogeneous, okay, non-segmental. Here, one more thing. In lobar pneumonia, it is non-segmental. That means it is not limited by the segments. Whereas, as it spreads through the bronchus and bronchioles, it becomes segmental. Okay. Here, it is non-segmental but lobar. That is about bronchopneumonia. And here in interstitial lung disease, what is this? Air bronchogram is absent here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This one you should know this. They can ask a lot of questions here. Any confusion here?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. She is the one X-ray shadow of a lobar pneumonia. This is the lobe which is involved here. This is a lobar pneumonia. Lobar pneumonia. This one. Okay.
Yes,
And I'll show a shadow of bronchopneumonia. Here, the spread has occurred to almost all the bronchi. Disseminated. It is, you cannot see. Here, it is lobar pattern. You can see a lobar pattern here. Where is this? It distributed. This is a bronchopneumonia. And
Yes, sir.
interstitial lung disease, interstitial pneumonia. You can see reticular pattern.
Yes, yes, sir.
This is viral pneumonia, or you can call as interstitial pneumonia. Interstitial pneumonia it is. Okay. Viral pneumonia, mycoplasma pneumonia, chlamydia pneumonia, they come here. Okay. This is
Yes,
about
sir.
brief about these patterns of pneumonias. And for clinical, what is the one sign, auscultatory sign, which is pathognomic of consolidation?
Bronchial breath sound, sir.
Bronchial breath sounds you can get in other places also. What are the signs of consolidation? They can ask these type of questions in future. That's why I'm asking you. Although they are not there in the question bank. See, one thing is
Repetition.
dull note. Huh? You can get other noise. Huh? Stony dull or woody dull. Huh? Stony dull means what? Effusion.
Plural.
Huh?
Pluralifical.
Yeah, pleural effusion. Then woody dull you get here in consolidation. Pneumonia. Then what else you expect? What else? Huh? Bronchial breath sounds. Huh? What are the qualities of bronchial breath sounds?
So
What is
there
it?
is gap between inspiration and expiration.
There is a
And
gap between inspiration and expiration. Expiration is prolonged and
prolonged.
more intensity you can get. Okay,
Yes.
it's longer. That is a bronchial breath sound. So you can get bronchial breath sound, especially tubular type. Huh? Okay, bronchial breath sound. Then what about percussion? Okay, what is this? Vocal fremitus, vocal resonance
Increase.
increase. What is this? What I'm writing?
Whispering.
Whisper pectoralis.
Whispering, not pectoralis. Whispering pectoralicae. Huh? You get
Yes.
this in. If you hear whispering pectoralicae, say more or less you are dealing with consolidation. Huh? Other causes are there, but this is the first cause. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is you should whisper pectoralicae means you should whisper. The patient should be asked to whisper. The way as though you're telling some secret in somebody's ear. And that is the whispering. Really, a patient has to whisper. And if you are able to recognize the words that he has said through putting your stethoscope on the chest, then it is called whispering pectoral. Hearing some sound is not whispering pectoral. Okay, you should be able to recognize the sound. That is whispering pectoral. Okay, that
Yes,
is
sir.
very classically seen in consolidation. Huh? Okay, somewhere they may throw this MCQ. Huh? Okay. Anyway, I did not get them in a bank. Anyway, I just want to tell you. Huh? Okay. All of the following statements about pneumococcal pneumonia are true except. So pneumococcal pneumonia, what type of pneumonia will get?
Lower limb.
Yeah, low bar. If it is low bar, then non-segmental consolidation, true or false? Where you get the segmental consolidation? Bronchopneumonia.
Bron
Huh?
bronchopneumonia.
Segmental. Here only you will get confused. That's why I'm telling you. Huh? Segmental consolidation is a type of you get in bronchopneumonia. Huh? Non-segmental, whole lobe, irrespective of the whole lobe is lobar pneumonia. Huh? Huh? I know you will get confused here. Focus here. That's what I'm telling you. Non-segmental means bronchopneumonia. So lobar pneumonia. Segmental means bronchopneumonia. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Air bronchogram is absent.
No, sir, it is present.
It's
Yeah,
present,
that is
sir.
very, very classical in X-ray. It
Yeah.
is present. Okay. Usually confined to one lobe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Cavitation is rare. Okay, the organisms which cause this are pneumococcal, Klebsiella, and these organisms do not cause commonly. The cavitating organisms are Staph aureus. Huh? Okay, and
Yes,
these
sir.
causes bronchopneumonia. Huh? Okay, that's the reason cavitation is rare here. So that's something about air bronchogram. Non-segmental involving whole lobe, airways are spared, exudate occurrence in the alveoli. That's about air bronchogram. So what is Friedlander pneumonia? So
Kleb- Klebsiella.
Klebsiella, sir.
you googled it and you got it. It's very easy to solve such MCQs. Okay. The other name for Klebsiella is Friedlander. Okay. Friedlander pneumonia is Klebsiella. Now, most common causative organisms of lobar pneumonia is Which one causes most commonly? Staph aureus. What sort of
Streptococcus.
pneumonia it causes? Broncho.
Yes.
Huh?
Bronco.
Streptococcus pyogenes. I'm not concerned. We're not concerned. H influenza.
Sir, H influenza is
Bronco.
atypical, sir.
Bronco, sir.
Yeah, atypical. Okay,
Hmm.
it causes atypical. Okay, atypical pneumonia. Huh? But it doesn't cause your lobar pneumonia. Huh? It will end up with either interstitial or broncho. There, that side. But Staphylococcus pneumonia is classical for
Lobar.
lobar pneumonia. See, usually these two come together. A Staph aureus patient will get infected with H influenza. Huh?
Yes.
That's what is a. This is a. These two comes together. Round pneumonia. Your favorite question, Roshan,
Yes, sir.
is seen with where you get around pneumonia. So if you get round pneumonia, it is actually nothing but lobar type. It is part of streptococcal
Streptococcus.
pneumonia only. And what is kerosene oil aspiration? You will get lipid pneumonia. Here. See, pneumonia can be bacterial or chemical or radiation. Anything can cause pneumonia. It not necessarily all bacterial, viral, chemicals also pneumonitis, inflammation, and radiation pneumonitis. All things can cause. So this is a chemical lipid pneumonia. Classical scene. So a patient who comes with a kerosene poisoning, you should not give RT aspiration. Gastric. What? Gastric. Any poisoning, you gastric lavage, na?
Lavage.
Kerosene poisoning, you should not give gastric lavage because they may develop pneumonia. That is to be avoided. That can be a MCQ. Okay. Lung cancer, definitely it appears round, but that is not the round. It is not round nodules can be seen on chest X-ray, but it is not the round pneumonia is meant for this. Okay. And what is Mendelssohn syndrome? What is this Mendelssohn syndrome? What you have you heard about? Did you not Google it? You could have Googled now just because you're happy with streptococcus pneumonia, you just did not bother about these other choices. You can learn something from choices also, na?
Yes, sir.
Mendelssohn pneumonia is a following anesthesia, na? You saw a scene on movie. Which is that movie here? That boy will aspirate and die, na? Amazon Prime mein. Murder of some Arora, Amit Arora.
Ankit Arora murder case, sir. Ankit Arora murder case.
Ankit Arora. That is a case of Mendelssohn syndrome, you can call. But of course, Mendelssohn was classically was described with pregnant ladies. Even that can be said as murder of Ankit Arora. That is Mendelssohn syndrome. You remember like that, Yeah. Mendelssohn syndrome means following anesthesia, the patient will aspirate his gastric contents. Mostly it is acid. Of course, those anesthetic patients developing pneumonia is Mendelssohn syndrome. More likely with pregnancy. Pregnancy patient. So round pneumonia means streptococcal pneumonia. Fine. Mendelssohn chemical pneumonitis or aspiration pneumonitis caused by aspiration during anesthesia, especially during pregnancy. Aspiratic contents may include gastric juice, blood, bile, water, and association of them. Of course, in that movie, you would have eaten biscuit. That is a different issue. But remember this. So round pneumonia is usually seen in kids. Old age also can happen. Lack of collateral drift. They cannot shift pneumonia, so it takes a round shape. Because a lot of see the volume. Why all planets are round? Because they can contain more mass in the small volume, like that. Some because of that. DD mass, differential diagnosis, mass or tumor and all that.
Yes, sir.
Now this is a case of round pneumonia. Huh? Round pneumonia. Here also in lateral X-ray you can see this round pneumonia. Huh? Okay.
Yes,
Huh?
sir.
Round pneumonia. This is X-ray. Hmm? Most common agent for early onset nosocomial pneumonia is, which is most common among this? Haemophilus, Staph aureus, Pseudomonas, Actinobacter. Which of them is? What do you mean by nosocomial?
Sir,
Prabhakar?
hospital.
Hospital acquired.
Okay, hospital. Nosocomial
Sir,
means
hospital acquired.
yeah, hospital acquired is nosocomial. Huh? Which of the organisms most commonly infect in here? Hmm?
Pseudomonas.
It is, huh? Haemophilus. Huh?
Yes.
Hmm? Now, classification of pneumonia, I'll come to this. Huh? Here. See, we classify them in multiple ways because you understand them for the reason of that. You classify. Huh? Okay. Here, in a community acquired pneumonias, the classification is community acquired. Note this here. Community acquired. That means the patient has got his pneumonia when he was in the outside the hospital in the community. It is classically putting it. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Community acquired pneumonia. Brief for short form is CAP. Here it is ventilator associated. Huh? It is ventilator
Associate.
associated. That means when a patient was put on the ventilator, 48 hours after putting on ventilator, ventilator patient developed pneumonia. It is ventilator associated. Huh? Note this. So after putting on ventilator, after 48 hours, patient developed pneumonia. Clinically. When before putting on ventilator, there was no pneumonia. Now, after putting on ventilator, patient has developed pneumonia. After so, patient who develops pneumonia and he goes for ventilator, it is not VAP. Huh? It is another term is there. I think so. It is a ventilator requiring pneumonia, something like that. It is. Huh? One more term. Okay. Patient has got some other pneumonia. From some before putting ventilator only. He develops pneumonia. That is different. Okay. A patient after putting on ventilator, if he develops pneumonia, then it is ventilator associated pneumonia. What is hospital acquired pneumonia? Patient
Sir,
comes to hospital after
after
48 hours.
40 to 72 hours.
48 to 72. 48 hours. This is a new Harrison. 20 for 20th has given. So 48 hours after getting into the hospital, he develops pneumonia. And before 48 hours, if there is a pneumonia, then it may be actually a community acquired. So you are diagnosed it after getting into the hospital a bit late. Okay, that's what it says. Okay, hospital acquired. So it can happen so that hospital acquired pneumonia later on go for ventilator later, but it is not VAP. Got it?
Yes, sir.
To confuse you further, there is one more thing: healthcare associated pneumonia. This was introduced recently. I think so just to confuse you people. See, what was happening is why they want to classify this because it has got treatment implications. Their concern is antibiotic
Choice.
resistance. That is MDR. What is MDR?
Multi-drug
Prabhakar,
resistance.
Resistant.
more than 2 to 3 drugs of different mechanism action. Okay, they should have different mechanism of action. That's it. Then it is MDR. Okay, not single drug. So this MDR to prevent all these things, this group was actually introduced, but it is actually in fact has aggravated the problem. It has become more counterproductive. Anyway, how? So what happens is a patient was in the hospital. Imagine a patient was in hospital. He got discharged. Got it? He got discharged. After going home within 5 to 10 days, he develops pneumonia now. Okay. Now,
Okay, sir.
how do you say that this patient did not acquire pneumonia inside the hospital? So then it becomes healthcare associated pneumonia because of that. And why they wanted to know the patient developed pneumonia inside the hospital or in the community? Because of treatment. There's a difference here. That is the basic purpose. Got it? So these patients started going for more higher antibiotics. So any patient who got discharged, who came home, developed pneumonia, they were designated in this group and ended up taking higher antibiotics. Many times unnecessarily. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So now people don't want to use this term. Anyway, you should know this term, why this term was introduced. These four types. Any confusion here?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go. That's it. Encompasses the HCP. That is, correct. Healthcare. It is not a hospital. Healthcare associated pneumonia. Hospital here. Hospital acquired. You are sure it is acquired in the hospital. Ventilator associated. You are not sure. When you put the word associated, guarantee is not there. That's what it means. Okay. That's what it means. So there are community acquired, hospital acquired, ventilator associated, healthcare associated. There's a difference here. When you say acquired, you're damn sure. When you say associated, you're not sure. That's what. Where is it? From where the pathogen has entered. So basically, why healthcare I introduced to encompass those community acquired pneumonias that were caused by multi-drug resistant pathogens typically associated with hospital acquired pneumonias. So to include them, they introduced this method, but however later on they found it is useless. Why? See, whether the patient has come out from the hospital or in the community, the patient getting this MDR, multi-resistant pneumonias, and this one is basically was risk factor the patient carried in. That was the basic reason. Whether hospital, when he came out of the hospital, or the patient was staying in the community itself, getting for this MDR was actually dependent on the patient's inherent risk factors, predominantly on that. So this separate way of looking at was causing more problem. That's the reason.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now we'll come to community acquired pneumonias. Here, microbial causes of community acquired pneumonias. See, they have put it in a way that the patient was is being treated on outpatients, or patient got admitted. So that
Yes, sir.
outpatient, the patient is less sick. Yeah, these patients are more sick. You can imagine that. Okay, that if the patient is in the ICU, is comparatively less sick here, is very much high sick here. Okay, you getting me?
Yes, sir.
You can see this very much less sick. Compared to this, they are less sick, but of course, compared to this, they are more sick. These are very highly more sick. That's what. Now, so this is the where the patients are being put and treated. Depending upon them, which are the organisms found. That's what this table is telling you. They have taken the organisms and cultured it and tried to see what type of organisms are seen. If the patients are being treated on the outpatients, these were the organisms they found. The most common definitely was Streptococcus pneumonia. Then was Mycoplasma pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza, these things. Okay, and I think the corona will come here now.
Yes, sir. Corona.
Will come here. Non-ICU means again Streptococcus pneumonia. Of course, here also is Streptococcus pneumonia. This is the little difference here. Then Legionella comes here. Legionella. Then respiratory viruses. Okay. Now, if the patient has entered the ICU, he is more sick. That means it is usually this will come. You have to keep a watch on this. Gram-negative bacilli. This Klebsiella will also come here. Gram-negative bacilli will come here. This is Klebsiella. Will come here. Okay. What is community acquired? Getting into ICU. Okay, H influenza. These are the things you have to look into. So depending upon this, what the chart is table is telling you, from Indian perspective, you can look at it as the amount of sickness the patient, how bad he is. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The risk factors for pathogens of see, as I was telling out, hospital healthcare associated pneumonias, That why it was classified. Now, so that was some more or less not used. Now we focus on the patient risk factors only. So you get this risk factors for pathogen resistant to usual therapy. What are the conditions who are resistant to usual therapy? So those patients we look into. Is anybody? Okay. Here, the patient having MDR, huh? MDR, is more if the patient was hospitalized for more than in last 90 days. A patient who has been hospitalized in last previous 90 days for more than 2 days, that patient developing pneumonia is more when this is the condition. Okay, this condition is there. Use of antibiotics in last 90 days. Immunosuppression is there, yeah. Immunosuppression. Patient is non-ambulatory means patient is bedridden. That's what it says. Old age patients who are moribundly bedridden in the house, some fracture is there and all that. Such patients, if they develop pneumonia, they are usually MDR. Okay, multi-drug resistant. And if the patient is on Rayleigh tube, imagine a patient who is having a carcinoma of some upper respiratory here, upper airways, and patient is having some neurological paralysis. Imagine that, and patient is on tubes, and so tube in the sense, Rayleigh tube only. Maybe even your tracheostomy tube also will be there. Huh? Tracheostomy not the tube feeding, but of course, any patient who is on tube are prone to develop multi-drug resistant pneumonias. And gastric aspiration as a suppression. Prolonged PPI. What are PPIs? Wait, what is proton pump inhibitors? What are proton pump inhibitors? You know? Can you hear me or no?
Yes, sir.
What are the proton pump inhibitors, man?
Risomoprazole, rabiprazole,
Yeah, rabiprazole, not Rami, Rabi,
rabiprazole, sir.
rabiprazole, omeprazole, pantoprazole, huh? Huh? You must be swallowed lot of pantops, after your parties, pantoprazole and all that. Okay, gastric acid prolonged. If you repeatedly take na, they'll end up with all those things. And patient who is a case of severe bronchiectasis, COPD, all these patients, if they develop pneumonia, they're more likely to have this MDR. So the you should keep in mind when treating this. Then something called as methicillin resistant staph aureus.
MRSA, sir.
Yeah, there are two types here. One, community acquired MRSA, community acquired MRSA, and of course MRSA. MRSA was initially thought it is only from the hospital. Now MRSA has come from the community also. Patients can have community acquired MRSA. They can develop. So that is community acquired. Here is there see. Community acquired MRSA. Somebody has joined. I'll admit him. Okay. Now here, so nosocomial pneumonias are, that means MRSA means these patients are inside. These patients, the organisms here are basically these are there is a change in genetics matter, genetics only here. That's what. So nosocomial MRSA can also be present from the community. The patient can come out of the hospital. When coming out, you can carry that home. Here, those congestive heart failure, gastric good suppression, these things can come. Here, gross hemoptysis, neutropenia, erythematous rash, concurrent influenza, young. These are all the risk factors for community acquired. A patient who has come from the community, who has not gone to the hospital, and if he comes with pneumonia and if he has got these findings, with the cavitary infiltrates on the chest X-ray, if he has got hemoptysis, with the neutropenia, erythematous rash, these things are there, then he is more likely to have CA, MRSA. So treatment has to be thought in those lines. And so if the patient has got has discharged from the hospital, then you should suspect this kind of this MRSA. Okay, especially if there is congestive heart failure and all that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, So now when you, apart from that, the way you clinically approach, because when you treat a pneumonia, the most important factor is you should be able to know the pathogen. If you come to know the pathogen, then you can treat them. Because you can direct your treatment. The proper antibiotics usage will be there. If the patient who is alcoholic, if he develops pneumonia, the most likely is Streptococcus pneumonia, oral anaerobus, Klebsiella pneumonias, Actinobacter staph, and Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, and this also can cause pneumonia, TB. You should know that. Usually it is a chronic, slow, fibrotic disease, but it can cause pneumonia also. If the lot of immunocompromised state, especially diabetics, uncontrolled, and if they develop, say, can present with tuberculosis with pneumonia. Tuberculosis also can present. So alcoholics, this is the first thing is this. So patient who is alcoholic, Mycobacterium tuberculosis can present as a consolidation there. That's how you should look at this. The COPD and smokers, if they come with pneumonia, this is the one. Haemophilus influenza and Pseudomonas. Of course, these things are also there. And if the patient has got a structural lung disease like bronchiectasis, then Pseudomonas aeruginosa. You should know these pathogens. So COPD, Haemophilus influenza, alcoholic Streptococcus pneumonia, structural lung disease, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. The first three. And dementia, oral anaerobes are there. Okay, lung abscess. Come this one. These things are there. And anaerobes. If the patient has got abscesses also, then think of anaerobes. Okay, this is the way you should approach a patient with pneumonia, suspect a pathogen by using these clinical parameters. No, empirical antibiotic treatment for community acquired pneumonias. Now, I told you the approach of pathogen, how should you diagnose? Previously healthy and no antibiotics in 3 months. The patient is okay, fine. He develops pneumonia, nothing, no antibiotic taken. The first drug that you choose is clarithromycin. You give him clarithromycin for 500 mg per orally twice a day. Okay. OPD basis, you can treat him and send him home.
Yes.
This is the one. Healthy patient coming with pneumonia. So clarithromycin is your drug of choice. Even azithromycin can be used. If there is a concern with this, or you can use doxycycline also. Okay, this is the drug of choice, but however. Now patient has got comorbidities, like the one which I discussed, all those things. Patient has got structural lung disease and all those things. Then you cannot just use this and send. If the patient has already treated in last 3 months, select an alternate from the above. That would be fluoroquine. The fluoroquine is that is moxifloxacin, amifloxacin, levofloxacin. These are drugs you can choose, and this is preferred actually over this many times. If the patient is admitted, especially, you can give beta lactams. What are the beta lactams? Amoxicillin, then ceftriaxone, ciprofloxacin. These are the plus and macrolide. Macrolide means these only. Beta lactam plus macrolide are given. If the patient has got comorbidities and if it develops with community acquired pneumonia, then the wiser would be to go for this is cephalosporin plus macrolide. Okay. And if there is a resistance to macrolide, then use beta lactams. Because azithromycin and all resistance is coming up slowly. The inpatient, this is for the patients who are on outpatient.
Outpatient.
Okay, outpatient. Has anybody joined? Let's see. Okay, now. Okay, outpatient patient. Now we'll go to a patient who is inpatient but not in the ICU, in the ward he is. Then fluoroquinolones would be okay for them. Maybe IV also. Beta-lactone, lactone, ceftriaxone, ampicillin, azithromycin, plus these can plus macrolide. Beta-lactam plus macrolide it is when he is admitted in a ward. Inside the ICU, beta-lactam and plus azithromycin or fluoroquinolone, as listed above. The treatment here, the antibiotic choice is not much different. Hmm? Only thing, don't just give this orally. What the difference is here? In hospital, inside the ward, you may just give this and keep quiet. Okay, but if it's in the ICU, don't give this and keep quiet. Better to avoid this and use this line. If it's inside the ICU, especially.
Yes,
Ward
sir.
admitted, you can give this much and keep quiet. Of course, if you want to be more aggressive, go down here. That's what the slides are telling you. Special concern, yeah. If you're suspecting Pseudomonas, then piperacillin with tazobactam. Where you suspect Pseudomonas? A patient with what I'm writing? Bronchiectasis.
Bronco.
Huh?
Okay.
I showed you na here. What is that? Structural lung disease. Structural Pseudomonas. If you're suspecting, then you go for what? Piperacillin with tazobactam.
Yes, sir.
Okay, meropenem and all these drugs are the ciprofloxacin can be added upon. See the question here, Pseudomonas means piperacillin tazobactam or cipafine or imipenem, meropenem plus, it is plus ciprofloxacin or levofloxacin. If you're suspecting Pseudomonas there. So patient who has got bronchiectasis, if he comes with pneumonia, then what you will do is piperacillin with
Tazobactam.
something levofloxacin. You can use like that. You got it?
Yes, sir.
And the above beta lactams plus aminoglycosides instead. Otherwise, you can go for, if you don't want to go for these quinolines, then go for aminoglycosides. Amikacin. If the kidney is the issue, don't give this. Come back here. Because amikacin, what your concern is?
Renal.
Renal failure, ototoxicity, renal toxicity. So if the kidneys are fine, you can use amikacin with beta lactams. Aminoglycosides you can use. If kidneys are having issues, then you go up here. Levofloxacin you can try. Plus anti-pneumococcal fluoroquinolones. Okay, all the three can be also be added. If you want to become more aggressive. Beta lactams, aminoglycosides, anti-pneumococcal fluoroquinolones. Okay, all the three also you can give. That is okay. Now we'll come to MRSA. If you are suspecting MRSA, when you suspect there is a cavity formation there, a lot of cavities are being formed. You will suspect Staphylococcus aureus may or may not be MRSA. Staph aureus will be suspecting. So you are suspecting Staph aureus in a serious patient. You should not take it lightly. That's the reason. Go for think it as though it is. And of course, the hospital practice you will come to know. There are these MRSA may not, this come not even community means it is from the same community. The patients will be coming to your hospital. So the whatever the profile of the this one is there in that hospital. If you are seeing MRSA, then you should add up linolazid. These choice here superimposed on all the structure and all these things. You'll have to suspect organism, keeping in mind the past whatever cultures are given from the hospital. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So linolazid for MRSA. Or you can use vancomycin. Vancomycin again is an aminoglycoside. You know that. So it can cause renal toxicity. You should keep it in mind. Otherwise, clindamycin. What is the side effect of clindamycin? Some GIT, bloody diarrhea. Can it cause? Can clindamycin, bloody diarrhea. Treatment is metronidazole. You read that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's about the community acquired pneumonias now. We'll come to ventilator associated pneumonias. Ventilator associated. It is associated. That means you're not sure. Acquired means you're sure. Hospital acquired, community acquired. You're definitely sure. Ventilator associated, you never know. Possibly it is ventilator which has caused. Okay, now like that it is. Microbiological causes for ventilator associated pneumonias. So the non-MDR and MDR. So if you are suspecting a non-MDR, it is this Streptococcus pneumonia, influenza, here methicillin sensitive Staph aureus, Escherichia Klebsiella, Proteus, and all these things. If it is non-MDR, if you are suspecting MDR, when you suspect MDR with the underlying risk factors, okay?
Yes, sir.
The patient is on ventilator, he develops pneumonia, and you suspect underlying risk factor is there, then you start suspecting this side. If it doesn't have underlying risk factors, you start suspecting on this side. That's what it says. Okay. Of course, you will have to look for the culture. That is a real thing. But I'm just giving you the overall picture. Ventilator associated pneumonias now. What is the definition of ventilator associated pneumonia? 48 hours of ventilator pneumonia.
Yes, sir.
That is ventilator associated pneumonia. Empirical treatment. Now, the ventilator associated pneumonias and hospital acquired pneumonias, the choice of antibiotic is similar. The choice of antibiotic is similar. If you are not, no risk factor is there with the gram-negative pathogen, then you just give your Pipzo, that is piperacillin tazobactam. See, actually now what is the problem here is in community-acquired pneumonias and hospital-acquired and ventilator also pneumonias, the pathogens may be same, they may be sensitive to the drugs of these two groups, may be cured with this, but you never know. You never know. So the patients of hospital acquired and ventilator associated, you will end up giving with this higher antibiotics here. You can't treat them with those drugs, but no more often than less, you end up giving these drugs, Pipzo and all that. You will not just give them some macrolide and send. Hospital, especially hospital acquired, not because the patient is anyway admitted in the ICU will be, then you will start giving them what? Piperacillin with tazobactam. If there are no gram-negative pathogen you are suspecting, what are the gram-negative pathogen?
Klebsiella, sir.
Okay.
Klebsiella.
Yeah. So if you're suspecting only what streptococcus, pseudomonas, you're not suspecting and all that, you can just give pseudomonas with Pepzo only. Sorry. So if you have the gram-negative pathogen you're not suspecting, just give this much. This. Sevoflurane, levofloxacin, all this. But if your patient risk factors have gram-negative pathogen, then you will have to choose one drug from here, one drug from here. Okay. These are basically gram-negative. You can see now. Yeah, all these drugs. This is broad spectrum, of course. So amikacin, of course, it is good for gram-negative. Amikacin, gentamicin, tobramycin, then levofloxacin, colistin. This you have to add up with Pipzo, or ceftazidime, imipenem, meropenem. You have to use plus this. One here, one from here. You should add up. So any patient who has come to hospital acquired or ventilator acquired pneumonia, you can just give them with piperacillin and tazobactam if there is no suspicion of gram-negative pathogen. If there is suspicion of gram-negative pathogen, then you will have to give them piperacillin with tazobactam and what? Aminoglycoside and chlorocrudanins. Okay, either of them here. Okay, that's what. And you are suspecting a MRSA here, then what drug? Linolazid and vancomycin. So that's the one. In brief view, I told you about these pneumonias. I know it is very bit confusing. You see this video once more or twice more and read about it and you'll get it, because what MCQs which are seen are, they are a bit old. They don't deal this there. So probably you never know in future the MCQs, because there are a lot of changing in the classification and treatment aspect of pneumonias. It is changing. So they may not ask you the previous questions. They may ask you with this logic in behind. Structural patient has come like this, and what is the antibiotic you say? They'll give choice of piperacillin tazobactam. They may give us choice of a macrolide alone, and combination, they are this, and you'll have to pick up. If you have the knowledge of this, then you'll be able to deal with it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You just go through that chapter, and 20th edition, I think so. It is in the first volume, 960 page. First starts on 960 page. Just read that. There are about 8 or 6, 78 pages. And just read that. Okay. Cavitated lesions in lung are seen in where? Primary pulmonary tuberculosis. Do you get cavity here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man. Cavity is a post-primary or secondary tuberculosis. What is Gon's focus?
Go- Gone focus is primary, sir.
Gone.
Primary tuberculosis, na? Primary pulmonary tuberculosis. There is just a consolidation there, or a granulation formation. Granulation formation. There is no cavity formation in primary tuberculosis. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Primary pulmonary tuberculosis, you don't get cavity. Secondary or post-primary, you get cavity. Okay. Then pneumoconiosis. Actually, you can get some pneumoconiosis, but not very classical. Not very classical. Even cavity can be seen as ILDs, but not classical. When you got staph, pick it up.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Normally.
Staphylococcus pneumonia. If you see a staph or cavity and all that, you pick it up like that. A 28-year-old female has diarrhea, confusion, high-grade fever with bilateral pneumonitis. The diagnosis is
Streptococcus pneumonia.
which one?
The
C.
Legionella.
One thing is a patient has a. This is not very classical. See, your patient has got diarrhea now, confusion. So many things are there. Patient has got a multi-system. What is pontine fever? What is pontic or pontine fever? What is that? It is a legionellosis. Legionellosis can present with all multi-system involvement. Patient can involve CNS.
Extrapulmonary features, sir.
Yeah, GIT, body ache, high-grade fever. Fever is very high-grade. Bilateral pneumonitis. All these things, vague complaints. The patient has come. You then pick it up. Legionellosis. So legionellosis. That's what. Okay, I got a slide here. Suspect Legionella, a patient who has come with pneumonia like. Clinical presentation is pneumonia like, not very classically pneumonia. A patient who is immunocompromised, smoker, COPD with pneumonia like picture he comes. Okay, then you suspect Legionella. And if he has got, if the water supply is contaminated with, usually this is water supply, AC, and you get in hospitals you get all these fountains, water fountain, for design sake, you can see, this water contamination there, in the you can see some hospitals have that.
Yes, sir.
So if there's water supply and all that, if they're infected, the patient inside will get infected. So water management has to be proper here. Hospitals especially. Water supplies contained the Legionella, especially AC duct and all that they can develop. The patient develops pneumonia within 10 days of discharge of the hospital, and he complains with all the GI, CNS, all these things. Suspect Legionella. Because he goes to the hospital, there's a Legionella contaminated in the hospital, he comes home on the discharge, then you suspect Legionellosis in him. Especially this one is there, these two. And gram stain, there is nothing, no organisms grown. One thing, if you sputum, whether it is a good quality or bad quality, how do you, in a patient with pneumonia, the sputum the patient has given to you, whether sputum is there or actually saliva has come, how do you know? That is if there are a lot of epithelial cells, lot of epithelial cells, then it is saliva and not sputum. Lot of neutrophils, then it is sputum. So this is how they diagnose. You give sputum, bad sputum. They immediately Yaj house doesn't must have faced this. You take a sputum and give from that corner. They'll say sputum quality is not good. They'll be looking at these things. If they get a lot of epithelial cells, then discard it because they will not get the result. So the sputum has got a lot of neutrophils. That means there is acute infection going on. Then they'll start searching for your organisms there. Okay. So here they'll get a lot of neutrophils, but there is no gram stain is negative. Then you suspect for Legionella. That's what. And if there is a hyponatremia, old age patient admitted for some fracture and all that develops hyponatremia, pneumonia, then you suspect Legionella. That's what they're telling you. Failure to respond to your beta lactam. These don't respond to beta lactam. 30-year-old male present with pneumonia and diarrhea. 5 days after discharge from hospital, the drug of choice for treating is 30-year-old male present with pneumonia, diarrhea. 5 days after. I think you can pick it up. Okay. Within 10 days, I told you. There's a diarrhea. Then treatment is it is a case of what?
Legionella, sir.
Legionella. And drug of choice is this azithromycin. Yeah, I've got a slide on that. Drugs for Legionella is azithromycin, levofloxacin, moxifloxacin, Cati, and Gemi. Okay, this is the first drug. If not, you can use this. Okay, this is a treatment for Legionella. Most common cause of empyema is most common cause of empyema.
Bacterial pneumonia, sir.
The most common cause of empyema is this only, bacterial pneumonia. Tuberculosis pneumonia. First of all, tuberculosis pneumonia itself is rare, and tuberculosis can cause empyema. Now they put it as tuberculosis pneumonia. Even otherwise, the commonest cause for empyema is empyema thoracic. They are asking thoracis. Okay, most common causes bacterial pneumonia. Empyema thoracic causes. What are the causes? First one is definitely pneumonia. Fungal infections can also cause. Tuberculosis infection can also cause empyema. Then subphrenic abscess. Subphrenic means below the diaphragm. Infected pancreas necrosis. Spontaneous. Where you get this spontaneous bacterial peritonitis? Where you get this? Where you get the spontaneous bacterial peritonitis? Liver disease causing ascites. You get? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Liver disease with the ascites, they are prone for spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. You remember that. Okay. So these are the causes of pneumothorax. I'm telling. Infected retained clotted hemothorax. So after trauma to the chest, the hemothorax is there. Blood in the thorax can also get infected and they develop pneumothorax. That's what. Esophageal perforation. It could be secondary instrumentation or CA, esophagus and all that. Okay. Following the resection of the lung, part of the lung, pneumonectomy and all that, that empty space can develop empyema. These are the causes, and this is the commonest one. We'll come to atypical pneumonia is caused by the following microbial agent except. You tell me which of them is not a cause for atypical pneumonia.
Klebsiella.
Klebsiella, yeah. Atypical pneumonias are basically intracellular. You should know that they are all intracellular. Klebsiella is not a intracellular. Human corona. Yeah, this corona is there. See now, your corona all favorite. This is actually they call it COVID-1. That whatever a COVID-1. Now you got 2. It has come. Second one has come. Okay. Mycoplasma pneumonia, Legionella, human coronavirus, they are all intracellular organisms. This is not an intracellular organism. So this cause atypical pneumonia. So what is typical versus atypical? Clinically, typically, once the patients comes with high grade fever, total alcohol count, ESR, CRP are all elevated like anything. Whereas atypical pneumonia, the clinically this will not be there. The patient will have a more smoldering course, talking, walking like pneumonia. Patient comes comfortably to your clinic. So
Walking pneumonia, sir.
yeah, it's also called as walking pneumonia. That's correct. So those patients are called walking pneumonias. So these are the typical and atypical versus. Now we'll go to details of this. Okay, atypical pneumonias are classically our lobar pneumonias. They are very classical about it. Lobar pneumonias is, I'm telling, yeah, these are more often interstitial pneumonias. Okay. See, alveoli are involved here. So alveoli are not filled with the fluid. It will be wall of the bronchioles here. Infiltrates are usually neutrophils. Here it is lymphocytic, atypical. And extracellular organisms, intracellular organisms. Cough with productive sputum. Here it is dry cough. Chest X-ray, alveolar pattern, that is lobar consolidation, all that. It is interstitial pattern. Okay. So the atypical pneumonia is commonly caused by Mycoplasma common pneumonia. Mycoplasma pneumonia is the commonest cause of atypical pneumonia. Of course, then come your viral pneumonias, chlamydia, Coxiella burnetii. Where you get this pneumocystic carinae infection?
Sir, HIV/AIDS patient where CD4 count is less than 200.
Okay, I'll come to that. Tomorrow probably. Pneumocystic carinae. These are all atypical pneumonias and Legionella. Okay. Oh, that's for today and okay. All for today, and tomorrow we will discuss. Tomorrow actually ortho class is there.
Okay, sir.
Maybe after the ortho class, or maybe if it takes it gets delayed means I'll take it after tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Read now. Okay.